Today, we're talking about beef. No, not not that one. I'm talking about the Netflix drama series that dropped in April of 2023, starring Steven Yeun and Ali Wong. And I don't know, guys, I'm not a professional, but in my humble opinion, this is one of the most brilliantly crafted TV pilots of the last decade. Beef. The title is simple. The premise, honestly unhinged, and the execution, damn near flawless. Now, when I started studying TV pilots to prepare for writing my own, I didn't expect Beef to hit me the way it did. Not just emotionally, but structurally, psychologically, and even towards the end of the series, artistically. This wasn't just a show about two people fighting over some kind of bad parking lot interaction. It was a descent, a slow and spiraling unraveling between two deeply repressed people, and somehow it all started with a honk and a middle finger. The pilot of Beef does what every great pilot should. It locks you in, hard. And within the first 5 minutes, you're not just intrigued. There's so much more than that. I mean, the literal adrenaline I felt was so palpable, it was actually insane. It's not just from the road rage sequence, though that is definitely a wild ride on its own, but it's from the emotional undercurrent, that immediate sense that there's so much more brewing beneath the surface. And somehow, in just one episode, the show manages to build two richly complex protagonists and gets you to care about them, root for them, and low key root against them, all at once. This isn't just a pilot, it's a pressure cooker with a ticking clock. And I'm gonna break down exactly why I feel it works so incredibly well. So, with that being said, guys, let's get into it. Let's begin with the two emotional anchors of Beef, Danny Cho and Amy Lau. Two strangers whose lives violently collide over a petty road rage incident, only to reveal just how much rage was already bubbling beneath the surface. Now, Danny is a struggling contractor, barely keeping his head above water. He's broke, he's deeply disillusioned, and he's haunted by this gnawing sense of failure. And not just as a man, but as the eldest son of immigrant parents who remain thousands of miles away in Korea. Danny embodies a very specific kind of pressure, that unrelenting and often invisible weight carried by first generation children who feel they must succeed not only for themselves, but for everyone who sacrificed before them. His desperation is more than just financial. In a sense, it's spiritual as well. He feels stuck in a country that promised him more than it delivered, clinging to whatever scraps of pride and purpose he can find. Danny's emotional exhaustion is palpable. You see it in his hunched posture, his very short temper, and the quiet way he just absorbs insult after insult after insult. He's relatable in that bone deep way. You don't understand his frustration, you feel it. And making things worse is Paul, his younger brother who comes across as completely aimless, spending his days lounging around, playing video games with his boys, dabbling in crypto, and just blowing money he doesn't really have on material things. Whereas we see Danny is breaking his back to keep the lights on, Paul seems content just floating throughout life, oblivious to the pressure his brother's under. It's a dynamic charged with resentment, not because Danny doesn't love Paul. Throughout the series, we see that he does, but because he sees in him the freedom he was never really allowed to have. Then there's Amy Lau, Danny's opposite in every external way, but his mirror on the inside. Amy is wealthy and seemingly in control of her life. She's the founder of Koyo House, a high end plant forward lifestyle brand that's about to get bought out for, let's just say, a lot of money. She lives in a beautiful home, has a picture perfect family, and moves through these elite social circles with poise. But we come to learn that all of it is a mask. Beneath her success lies this simmering discontent, a woman whose life has become a carefully curated prison. Amy is not okay. Her marriage, while outwardly harmonious, is built on imbalance. Now, her husband George, who I do want to mention, comes from a silver spoon and is currently unemployed, is seen as a peacemaker. He is the calming presence, the one who gently talks her down when her emotions spike. And yet, beneath that tranquility, there's a tension. Because it's clear that Amy, for all of her composure, secretly longs for someone who will match her fire, not smother it. She's deeply anxious and exhausted by the performance of perfection. Unlike Danny, who was clawing his way up, Amy is desperately trying to claw her way out. What makes Beef so compelling is that Danny and Amy aren't just foils, they're parallels. Despite the class divide, despite the cultural differences, they are both deeply lonely, emotionally repressed, and seething with the quiet rage that neither of them knows how to name. They're two sides of the same coin, moving in opposite directions on the same spiritual journey, if you will. And the inciting incident, a petty road rage encounter in a parking lot, is the straw that eventually breaks both camels' backs. It's so small and mundane, and yet it unleashes a chaos that reveals the truth. These aren't two people who suddenly became angry. It's been there, simmering below the surface for a while. And now they finally have somewhere to place it. The pilot episode of Beef, I feel, is a masterclass in tight and purposeful storytelling. Every beat serves a dual function, propelling the plot forward while deepening our understanding of the characters. Now, structurally, this episode is cleanly divided into three acts, each one building upon the last and drawing us deeper into the spiraling chaos that will define the rest of the series. Let's look into Act 1, the setup and inciting incident. The show wastes no time. From the very first frame, we're thrown into a situation already vibrating with tension. A seemingly minor road rage encounter in a crowded parking lot. Danny's backing out, Amy honks, middle fingers are exchanged, and in an instant, we're hurtling through the streets of Los Angeles in a frantic and high stake car chase. It's completely unhinged, over the top, and yet somehow grounded in this raw and recognizable feeling of pent up frustration, the kind we all carry but rarely act on. Now, this sequence does more than ignite the plot. It lays the bare emotional states of both characters. Danny is brittle and exhausted and already on the edge. And Amy, although she appears put together, is simmering with her own barely contained fury. This altercation doesn't cause their descent, it merely unlocks it. Now, from a screenwriting standpoint, this is a brilliant inciting incident. It connects two strangers from opposite worlds, a broke contractor and a wealthy entrepreneur, who would otherwise never cross paths. It externalizes their internal chaos, and most importantly, it establishes a central conflict that is both specific and flexible enough to evolve dramatically over time. And oh my god, does it! By the time the dust settles from the chase, the conflict has already shifted. This anger doesn't dissipate, it only calcifies. What began as a moment of impulse becomes an obsession, a vendetta, some kind of twisted game between these two characters. And from here, the stakes only grow more personal. Let's look at Act 2, the character exploration. The second act wisely slows the pace, not to relax the tension, but more so to reframe it. Now that the explosive moment has passed, the show zooms in to show us why these people snap so easily. Who are they when they're not screaming out of car windows? What is really going on beneath the surface? We get to live inside their worlds. Danny is shown barely scraping by. He spends time with his self indulgent younger brother Paul, whose immaturity only sharpens Danny's sense of failure. We see that his construction business is falling apart, and he's constantly reminded of everything he isn't, which is successful and honestly respected. Now, meanwhile, Amy is equally trapped, just in a nicer cage. She's trying desperately to maintain this serene aesthetic for her brand while navigating the stress of an upcoming acquisition. Her relationship with her husband George is filled with this soft spoken avoidance. He's calming, yes, but there's subtext there. Amy wants someone who can match her intensity, not neutralize it. Her emotional labor goes unseen, and she's left alone in her own resentment. Structurally, Act 2 offers us crucial depth. It doesn't just humanize Danny and Amy, it makes us complicit. We're allowed to look in and see the weight that both characters are carrying, and even when they act out, we understand why. The emotional hook is deepened. The stakes are no longer just about money or respect, they're about identity, dignity, and that quiet rage that builds up when no one else sees how hard you're trying. Act 3, Escalation and Promise of the Premise. Now, the final act of the pilot ramps the tension right back up. Danny, now completely fixated on the woman who flipped him off, uses her license plate to find her home. Now, on a sequence that teeters near absurdity, he poses as a contractor, enters her house under false pretenses, and as the two interact, there's actually a surprising moment of connection. But after confirming that Amy was the actual driver of the vehicle from the road rage incident, in an act of both revenge and one could say desperation, Danny pees on her bathroom floor. It's juvenile and grotesque, and somehow kind of deeply symbolic. This is more than just retaliation. In a sense, one could see it as a cry for control, a way to reclaim that power in a world that's denied him dignity. Now, Amy, of course, discovers the invasion almost immediately. The episode ends with her chasing him out of the house as he flees to his car in a sweet escape. And in that final moment, the tone is set for everything to come. The chase isn't over, it's only beginning. From a storytelling perspective, this is an incredibly effective ending. It pays off the inciting incident while escalating the stakes in a way that feels personal and unpredictable. Not to mention the sheer joy in Danny's face as he gets away had me smiling right along with him. It was such a satisfying moment, and it was felt on both ends. I wanted Amy to get her lick back. And she does. If you guys end up watching it, she definitely does. But more importantly, it delivers this promise of the premise. That screenwriting term refers to the central hook of the show, the thing that makes it worth watching. And in Beef, that hook is clear. Two deeply damaged people unraveling through a feud that becomes increasingly ridiculous and destructive, all because neither of them knows how to deal with the pain they're carrying. Right off the bat, the show is letting us know, as we follow these two characters on their deep spirals, you won't be able to look away. To the point where I even found myself asking, how much farther can they go? The pilot of Beef isn't just a great first episode. It's a masterclass in how to launch a story that's emotionally layered, narratively precise, and tonally fearless. It takes what could have been a throwaway premise, two strangers beefing over a traffic incident, and transforms it into something that's deeply human and disturbingly funny at times, yet unexpectedly profound. Now, if you're a writer, this pilot should definitely be on your study list. I'm not a professional, so I can't necessarily tell you what to do, but it is a blueprint for how to weave character and structure together so tightly that one literally cannot exist without the other. It shows how backstory can be revealed through action, and how tension can be sustained through emotional honesty, and how you don't need big spectacle to create big stakes. You just need characters that we feel. And if you happen to be someone that simply just loves good television, this is the kind of pilot that reminds you of what TV is capable of. It doesn't pander, it doesn't hold your hand, it trusts its audience, and in return, it earns your attention. And it keeps it. As I've been saying, guys, this is one of the best pilots I've seen. Not because it shouts the loudest, but because it knows exactly what it's saying, and it says it with purpose and precision. So, if you haven't watched it yet, go fix that. And if you have, watch it again. And this time, take notes. If you guys have made it this far into the video, as always, thank you so much for sticking around and checking your girl out. Also, make sure to check out my other social medias, which I will be posting on the screen. And as always, guys, I will catch y'all in the next video. Until then, take care.